consulting, and that one is more on mindset.
Oh, all right.
All right, so we are live. Hello, audience. Please enjoy the workshop, and if you want to join us, then you can.
And that one is more on mindset.
You can just come in and you can join the room itself. Okay, I muted the other stream, and then we are here. Okay, all good. Let's go. The stage is yours, Sheela.
Thank you very much. And good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's session, which is talking about proactive mindsets and breaking away from our barriers that we set up. So let's get started. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Sheela Chandran. I'm a corporate leadership trainer, a coach, mentor, and also a clinical hypnotherapist. As you can see, please don't do the math. Please don't add those numbers up because then I'll be very, very old. But basically, I've got a lot of work experience that I bring to the table. And out of that 35 years, 20 years was with the aviation in GE. So a lot of my background, a lot of my training, a lot of things come from GE, which is a company that really, really empowers you and helps you build your teaching skills. So getting started into the proactive mindset, the one thing that we all do and we all have as we grow up, from the ages of 0 to 6, where we're imprinting, from the ages of 7 to 16, where we're role modeling, we are learning a lot of different skill sets, and we put that in our backpacks. Each of us have a backpack. We all carry our own unique backpacks, right? And what we put in our backpack is our knowledge, our experience, everything that we have learned, whether it's through our culture, our religion, our upbringing. It's all unique and it's all different. So when we talk about the backpacks that we carry in life, think about the behaviors that we carry in life as well. All of that behavior is also built into our backpack. And whenever we go into any environment, we're carrying this with us, whether we like it or not. The other challenge is the fact that we also carry our moods with us, our mood swings, our emotional beings, all that is there with us. And if we were in an emotional state and you were in your home and you were having a bad day, and then you come into the workplace still carrying that backpack with all that emotion that you had from the day, from the morning before, when you walk into the office, your mood, your emotion is still governed by what you went through this morning. So imagine when someone says, hey, hi, good morning, and you look at them and go, what's so good about this morning? You're bringing that negative energy into the workplace. You're giving out this negative energy. People start to look around, ooh, this person is gonna kill my mojo. So stay away from Sheela. She's starting off with a bad day. This is the thing that happens in all our lives, right? Whether it's talking about arguments or so forth. So the proactive mindset, when we talk about proactive mindset, is everyone comes with a different map of the world. We all have a different model of the world, and how you see the world and how I see the world may be very different. And in order for us to understand this a little bit more, I just wanted to do a very quick activity with you to just show you that our mental maps of the world is never the same. It's always different. We all see things differently, believe things differently. And so in order for me to prove this to you, I wanted to highlight something. So if all of you could just grab a piece of paper, just anywhere, any piece of paper, just grab a piece of paper. I want to do this exercise with you to show you that even though you can hear one thing, usually you end up doing something completely different. So if you give you a second to just grab a piece of paper, any piece of paper, and then you can do this with me. So the first thing you have, if everyone has their piece of paper, the first thing you just need to do is fold your paper in half. Just fold your paper in half. Fantastic. Okay. Now that you've done that, can you please fold your paper in half again? So folding your paper in half again. All right. Now, you need to tear the top right-hand corner of the paper. Tear the top right-hand corner of that paper. Okay. If you're done, fold the paper in half again. Now tear the bottom left-hand part of the paper, the bottom left-hand corner of the paper. All right. If you're done, fold the paper in half again. And now tear the bottom right-hand corner. It gets a little bit tough. I'm sure you can do it. If you've had your breakfast and you had your coffee or whatever, you can do this. Okay, now that you've done that, open your papers up. Open your papers up. I'm not sure how many people we have in the room right now. Right now in front of me, I can see 6 people, but I'm sure out there, there's a whole lot more. Look at the piece of paper that you have. Open it up and show the world what you did. Look at everybody's paper. It's all different. Every one of us has a different way that we took the instruction. So imagine this. How many people gave you the instruction? Thank you for showing me that. How many people gave you the instruction? 1, right? Just me. I was the only one giving instructions. And yet, I've done this in a room of 100 people, and only 2 people in the room actually had exactly the same dimensions, size, shapes, doing this activity. 1 person giving instructions and 98 people did different things. Can you imagine how miscommunication can easily happen? Because the way you receive information, the way your neurons connect, the way the synaptic works, the nerves work is so different for each individual. So how you see the world and how I see the world will be different. We may be looking at the exact same thing. So a proactive mind is talking about looking at every opportunity out there and taking those opportunities and creating a whole new perspective for yourself, not getting stuck in what we call a tunnel vision. So in order for us to do that, in order for us to expand and step up, we first need to learn how to identify things in ourselves. And one of the things, or one of the tools that I love is Johari's window. So this is a tool that's been put out by Joe and Harry, who came up with this philosophy of talking about trust model. So this is called the trust model, and it's really trying to understand how people open up. What do you know about a person? How do you build rapport and trust with someone quickly, right? So in quadrant number 1, which we call the open area, the open and free area, these are things that we want people to know about us. These are facts that people know about us. They can see easily. They know, your interaction. It's the exterior. It's your behavior. They can see all this. So it's very easy for people to figure out who you are because this is what you want to show people. But the reality is the things that you don't know, the things that you don't know about yourselves, the habits that you have, those are where we are in number 2 quadrant, which is our blind area. A lot of times we do things without even thinking because it's habitual, right? And it sits in our blind spot. The reason it sits there is because we don't know we're doing it. I'll give you a simple example. When I first started trading, I grew up with a sister who was mentally retarded. And if you ever met a person who's mentally retarded, you realize that they can't stand still. They have almost like ADD problems where they tend to move. My sister used to swing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It was a rocking motion. Now, being the fact that I grew up with her, I kind of adopted that, but I used to sway side to side rather than swing back and forth. And not even realizing that this became a habit for me every time I stood up. One of my participants during training said, Sheela, may I ask you a question? Why is it that when you're standing up in front of us, you never stand still? You're always swaying, from side to side. Sometimes it gets very distracting. Now, what that person had just done was raise my awareness that this is in my blind spot. I didn't realize I was doing this. It's an automatic reaction, right? But the very fact that by highlighting it, it's no longer in my blind spot. It is now in my open area. I now can consciously make an effort to make the change. That is the power of feedback. That is the power when you share something with other people, they learn from that. They become aware and they make the change. Too many people keep quiet and never give feedback. And that's why the world is not moving forward if people don't speak up and let you know what you're doing different or what you're doing wrong in their eyes. The other area, of course, quadrant number 3 is what we call the hidden area. And that's really facts that you don't want people to know about you. There are things that you don't want to share with the world. Obviously, the more people know about you, the more trust they build with you. But if you're one of those people who loves to sing, but only can sing when the shower is running, well, you don't want to tell the world that I'm the best karaoke singer in the toilet or in the bathroom, right? You want to keep that fact to yourself. So the hidden area is pretty much about things that you don't really want to share with the world, except with the close people around you. And of course, the last one is the unknown. It's the one where our superpowers come out when we really push comes to shove, need to do something, and all of a sudden that gush of energy comes out, and then we go forward, and then we start to do things that we never thought possible. So understanding this, understanding how to build rapport, how to build trust, we really need to understand earlier when we did the first activity that everyone sees the world differently. So if you can share more, you can be more open with people and allow people in, then you're going to build rapport very quickly. You're going to build that instant rapport very quickly. There are a lot of techniques to do this, and I'm pretty sure people like Jeff Cheer and all the coaches out there can share this with you. If you have a coach, it's a fantastic thing. If you have a mentor, it's even better, because then you have people who can share these things, because they are the ones that will take your quadrant number 1 and expand your world to let you know what are the things that would be best shared with everyone and how to improve that. So Johari's window, it's a tool to understand people and building rapport, right? So if you understand that, you also need to understand that in a proactive mind, like I said before, we all see the world differently. So here's an interesting test. Let's see, what do you see? So when I put this figure up, what do you think you see? And anyone wants to do that, they can type it in the chat box. You can type in the chat box if you think you know what the answer is, or just shout it out. No one can hear you right now, but if you know the answer, jump out. Yeah, and I see some answers in the chat group. Fantastic. So so some people think the sunglasses is not the one we want to look at, but someone said rabbit and someone said a beak. And yeah, look, if you look at it from one perspective, it looks like a rabbit with the ears, the eyes, and the mouth and the nose. But if you look from a different perspective, it looks like a duck. It's a duck with a beak. So it's how you look at the world, right? Different people see different things. Again, if you look at this, some people tell me, oh, I see the word lift, but a lot of people just say, I see boxes of black and white. So it's every one of us sees it different. Look at this one. What do you think you see here? Type it in the chat box if you know what you think you see here. Right. So some people say they see a face. Sorry. Some people say they see a face. And some people say they see the word liar. So again, different perspective from different people. I'm just showing you this because I want to drive the point home that our mind can play tricks on us all the time. So we need to be constantly looking at things and asking questions to gain a better understanding, because questions, by asking the right questions, you're going to be able to get better understanding of your surrounding, of the situation, so that when you are actually doing something, the mindset is not stuck in a tunnel. It's actually expanding and having a peripheral view of the world rather than a tunnel vision. So in order for you to have a strong, proactive sense about you, mindset is not just about the way I see the world, but it's also about what drives you. What are the key areas that drive your behavior? Have you ever sat down and thought about your values? What is your value system? What is your guiding light? And I'd like to understand that. If you have a moment to do this, I'd like you to write down what your values are. I actually have a link. I believe the link was here in the Jamboard. There's a Jamboard down there. If you want, you can go and click on that link, and I will love to have a look at it in a short while, what you write in the Jamboard, where you can just tell me how do you describe yourself? What are your values? Some people say they're enthusiastic. Some people say my values, I'm an adaptable person. I'm gifted. I'm very gregarious. I'm vibrant. What is it that describes you? Can you describe yourself? I'm going to actually pick on somebody to do that. And I'm going to ask her to unmute herself and answer these questions. I'm going to pick on Andrea. And I'm going to ask Andrea to unmute herself and tell me in 1 or 2 words, which words best describe your values, Andrea?
Compassionate.
Compassionate.
And lively.
Compassionate and lively. Now, if you know Andrea and you've met Andrea or you've even seen her online, you will know that really does describe her. She's actually done some thought processing about her value system. So compassionate comes up. She is one of those people who are always looking and seeing how can we improve the world? How can we make things better? The very fact that she put this program together with 200 speakers across the world, literally started it on her own. Her compassion for wanting to make things better is her driving force, right? So, when you look at yourself, take a moment to think about what drives you. What is your positive aspect? People are very quick to jump and look for negatives. Oh, I'm useless. Oh, I can't do this. I don't have the right mindset. I am a procrastinator. I don't have the energy. Rather than look for all the negative elements in your life, why not change your language? A proactive person and a proactive mind talks about proactive language, which means we need to start thinking in positive terms rather than putting ourselves down all the time and driving our behavior into the ground. Why not talk about the things that really matter, which is what makes you you? What makes you special? What makes you stand out? Are you a proactive person who is powered by your own wish to be free? You are able to choose your response according to your values. Your values are compassion. Your values are productivity. Your values are truth and integrity. Are you driven by proactivity, or are you a reactive person who allows moods and feelings and circumstance to drive your behavior? Remember, we talked about the backpacks. If you walk in with the backpack and you had a bad day and you bring that with you, then you're bringing that negative emotion into the workplace. But if you're a proactive person, you will say, you know what? It happened. It's done. It's dusted. Moving forward, different mindset, open mindset. Then you are choosing to carry the weather within you. We call it choosing to carry the weather within you because you have control of your life. No one has control over your life except you. So you can decide whether you want to be a reactive person or a proactive person. Reactive people always blame other people for everything that fails. They're always looking for excuses and they take offense really easily. They get angry over the slightest things. They whine and complain, but don't actually do something about change. Instead of making change happen, it's always somebody else. They're always waiting for someone else to do something. Whereas proactive people, they don't take offense easily. They allow things to happen. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But they take responsibility for their choices, right? They think before they act. We always say reactive people have what we call verbal diarrhea. Whatever's in the brain comes out. They just vomit it out, and there's no filter system. And when those words are spoken in anger, in frustration, once it's out there, it cannot be taken in. It cannot be taken back. It's out there. I've heard it, it's gone. And so people can say, oh, I'm so sorry I said that. And they can say, oh yeah, that's fine. But they don't forget. They will forgive, but they won't forget. And it will come back at some point to bite you. So reactive people have a tendency to just go with the moment of that emotion and allow that to govern their life. Proactive people tend to stop and think. Between stimulus, something happened to you, and your response. Human beings have the freedom to stop, think, and speak. Stop, think, and speak. I had a boss who was really, 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 really good back in the day. He knew his technical stuff really well. Surprisingly, though, His people skills were not there. So when we used to go for production meetings in the morning, the materials manager and all the team would be there. We'd have about 12, 15 people in the room. And when this particular manager came in and he wanted an update on what was happening, if something went wrong, if for example, material didn't arrive on time, that means we would have to work stop. And work stop meant that, your turnaround time is going to be impacted and that it's going to delay, it's going to cost you money. So before he can even say what happened, the manager goes, "What do you mean by that? What are you talking about?" And the whole tone changes. The volume intensifies, the irritation intensifies, and everybody in the room just goes silent. They're in shock, right? And he does this every single time. So much so that we used to have people go on medical leave and have diarrhea and all kinds of things and not show up for production meeting in the morning because they just didn't want to deal with it. So we did a training called 7 Habits for Highly Effective People. So I'm a facilitator for that. And we ran this training and we talked about this between stimulus and response. Is your freedom to choose your response. Stop, breathe, think, and then speak. And the MD, he was involved in this training. He was there throughout the entire 5 days, gung-ho. So everybody was like, Monday is going to be different. It's going to be a great day. They walk into a production meeting on Monday and everyone's in a good mood. And then, of course, materials manager had some bad news for us to say that there were some parts that couldn't come in on time. and the moment he said, this engine's going to be work stop, there he goes again, banging the table, screaming, "What are you talking about?" So all of us, all the managers in the room, what they did was they just stood up and they did this. They didn't even speak. They just did this. Between stimulus and response, stop, think before you speak. You should have seen him, his mouth, his jaw dropped. He just looked at us and he was in shock because he just realized what he had done was based on habit, right? That was his automatic response to anything bad news. He would react violently. And so he stopped. He took a deep breath. You could see his facial expression change, tone of voice change. He just looked over to the guy and said, "So what can I do to help you resolve this problem?" Now that tone of voice, that way of delivery, that way of sharing information and asking completely changed after that. So from that day onward, he consciously made, remember Johari's window, it was in his blind spot. What he was doing all the time was habitual. And by the very fact that all of us highlighted it and it's now in his open spot, he is now making a conscious effort to change. So you can, if you are reactive, become a proactive person. It's easy to do. You just need to be conscious of it. So the one thing that we need to do, and I'd like you to do this on your own, if you get a chance to do this, write down for yourself. What are some of the negative trigger words? What are some of the words that are negative for you? They're trigger words that just get you going, right? Words that make your blood boil. As you write those words down and you listen to them, I want you to also, after writing them down, what could you change those words to? Reframe those words, change those words to a new trigger word that would give you a different emotional response. So if a trigger word, for example, "You're stupid," someone tells me, "You're stupid." Now, the word stupid would be a trigger word for me because then that would put me into a spiral of self-doubt, of questioning myself, right? If I were to change that word, what would I change it to? If the word stupid, I change that word to, you need to learn a little bit more about this subject matter. That would be something that, rather than telling someone "you're stupid," how could I change that and make it pass a message along that they needed to learn something different because they needed to make a different decision or a different movement, but using language that will not make them feel small or disappointed or really go into a spiraling self-depressive state. So it's important for you to understand what your trigger words are, what's not acceptable to you, first of all, so that you can actually tell people that's not acceptable. And if that's a word that triggers in your mind when someone says it, because you can't control what other people say, immediately in your mind, you reframe those words to mean something else for you. And by doing this, automatically you're retraining your brain and looking at every other possible way rather than go down those spiral steps. So I would like you to do this activity when you get a chance. I'm just sharing this with you on here, but I'm not asking you to do it right now. But I do want you to think about it. I do want you to think about the words that you use, because the words that you use can make or break a person. And that's really important, because a lot of people in today's environment are on a depressive state. Some people have anxiety, very high levels of stress, and the wrong word can trigger them onto a downward spiral. So if you are a proactive person and you will take responsibility, not just for your life, but for the people around you, then this is something that you need to be consciously aware of and make sure that you're doing the right thing all the time. So as I said, this is a webinar. Normally in the classroom, I would be doing a lot more activities with you and we'd have this interactive discussion. I really want to just get you to start thinking about the different ways that you can utilize some of these ideas when you're out there working with the general public or with friends and family, right? And think about it as you write down those trigger words, as you look at your mindset and change the way you think or behave. Think about all the bad advice that you've adopted over the past few years. I'm pretty sure along your lifeline and your career, you've received a lot of advice, right? And some of them have been good and some of them have been bad. You need to think about, what did you do? The ill-conceived warnings that you get when a lot of people give you advice. Do you analyze it? Do you just swallow what they say? Or do you go out and do exactly what they say? Or do you ever stop to think, okay, does this make sense? Is the current generation today is very good in terms of doing research. You tell them something, they'll say, hold on a minute. They'll go into Google, they'll search for something, they'll tell you the answer. The generation before this is very much more hearsay. They listen to people, they take in information, and they're very quick to make judgments sometimes. Now, I'm not saying everyone is like that, but majority tend to do that. So when you think about the advice that people have given you, or the advice that you've given people, how has that bad advice affected you? What does it cost you? I know it's cost me a lot of money, because I've taken advice about a lot of different things, and without actually being proactive enough to go out there and do the research on it, accepting it at face value. So think about your journey in life and think about the fact that there are a lot of bad advice that you get out there, but if you actually stop and think, the choice is yours. Remember, stop, think before you act, then chances are you will not dive in to taking bad advice quickly, because it will cost you a lot more than just money. So if you actually practice what I just told you, think about all the bad advice, think about your value system, think about how you make decisions in life, then chances are you will find that you are pretty cool, that you actually can be this cool person, right? If life has problems and knocks you down, with a proactive mind, if you choose to be proactive and make the right choices, then you are going to actually now this sounds crazy, but you're going to actually become more cool in the eyes of your children, in the eyes of the people around you, in the eyes of community. So think about what is cool about you. I know it sounds crazy when someone says, hey, so Sheela, what's cool about you? Well, what's cool about me is I have a passion for life. I love to sing and I'm not shy about it. I will sing anywhere anyone gives me a chance to do it. I love to talk to people and share ideas and information. So, hey, I believe that's cool about me. So you need to be proud of the things that are cool about you. Think about it for a minute as you go in. A lot of people don't take the time to do this. They don't take the time to evaluate what their value systems are, what they stand for. How cool are they? So I am here today to poke your brain a little bit and get you to think about all the different areas in your life, because that's what proactive people do. They take the initiative to change their life by changing their behavior. If you change your attitude, you change your behavior. If you change your behavior, you change your habits. Attitude, behavior, your habits will change. So it all starts with the attitude in life. So what's your attitude? If you've ever met these people in your life, tell me, have you ever met a vampire, a zombie, or a spark plug? A vampire always sabotages life, right? They're so full of toxic energy because they always have things to complain about. Have you ever been into work one day, you walk in feeling really great in the morning, and then you walk in and then somebody tells you, oh, you know, this government is like this, the traffic jam is like this, my mother-in-law is talking about this, and they just keep going on about how horrible their life is, and all that energy you came in with, that full of gusto, just starts to drain. By the time they finish talking, you just feel like, oh my God, why am I even here? They've just sucked the life out of you. And there are a lot of people who do this. We say 15% in the community are vampires because they're always draining your energy by talking about all the things that are negative and can go wrong. And then we have the zombies, right? And don't get me wrong, they're not body parts falling off. It's basically people who are in the mindset that are, you know what, I'll do whatever it takes to get the job done. Tell me what I need to do and I'll do it. I'll just do whatever it takes to get the job done. They come in the morning, they get the job done. Whatever you give them, they will do it. They will get it done, right? Because they're always waiting for something better to come along, something better to come along. So they'll do whatever it takes to survive. They will do whatever is necessary. Are they hungry for change? Are they hungry to ride up the corporate ladder? Yeah, they want to go, but they don't have the drive and the hunger. They just will wait. If it comes through, it comes through. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So they will do whatever it takes to do. And we need people to do this, right? In society, in life, we always have the people who need to do things for themselves and for their family. And then there's the spark plugs. Now, the spark plugs are the people who are actually looking at a problem. They see something and it's their innate desire to fix it. They just cannot help themselves. They need to go and fix the problem. They see an opportunity, they take it. They drive behavior, they change their attitude, and they go for it. Wouldn't you like to move your life from being a zombie or a vampire into a spark plug? I'm not saying that you are, but think about where you sit right now. Are you always complaining about life? Are you accepting everything for what it is? Or are you taking change right now? COVID had a lot to answer for, yes, but COVID also gave us a lot of opportunities. Today, the industry, the AI industry is booming. The online market is booming. People who have never thought about putting their products or selling their products online are now doing great business because they've taken the ideas, they've moved with the times, they've decided to no longer sit around and complain about their situation. They decided to take action. I know pilots who used to fly all the time, but now are doing all kinds of beautiful product sales. They've come up with great ideas, recipes from around the world, which they've now bottled and canned and selling stuff like that. So you just have to be able to become the spark plug that you're meant to be. You need to decide who you are. Where do you want to go? Every zombie wants to be a spark plug. Every vampire wants to do something and change their life. They just need to have the right direction, guidance, and encouragement. And that's where you, who have proactive minds, are the ones that are going to step up to the plate and help them. Give them the need or the encouragement that they want, because at the end of the day, only you can change your life. No one can do it for you. So I love this statement, only I can change my life. No one can do it for me. If you ever know about Carol Burnett, she was way back a comedian. She'd always say this, right? And I really think it's a really powerful statement, because yes, no one but you has the power to change you. We can talk about this till the cows come home, but at the end of the day, if you don't step up to the plate and make the change happen, then you're stuck in a doldrum of where you are not moving forward. And today, this is not the place you want to be. You want to be able to move forward and make the change. So I'm going to give you 8 steps to get there. Okay. And the first one is always look for the positives, right? Look at your current relationship with your boss, with your colleague, with your friends, your family, your children. Look at the positives that are out there. There are a lot of positives that you're missing out on. The connections you have, the conversations you have, the learning you get, the support system that you have. Look for the positives and appreciate them. Celebrate everything in life, because you need to celebrate everything in life. Make a habit of doing it now. We call it eating the frog. Just go out there. If you're a time management guru, you will know what eating the frog means. It's taking the big things that are difficult to do and doing them first. Do the big rocks first, right? And if you can get those big things off your table every day, the big ones that you don't procrastinate on, then your life is going to change tremendously. There's a lovely quote that I used to hear, right? He basked beneath the sun. He slept beneath the moon. He lived a life of going to do and died with nothing done. So every day he said, tomorrow I will do something, tomorrow I will do something, tomorrow. But he kept just basking and sleeping beneath that tree and that moon and that sun, never getting anything done till the day he died. Please don't be that person. Take life by the horns and go out there and live life. So make a habit of doing it now. Develop an attitude of gratitude. Appreciate everything, even when you wake up in the morning and step off bed. Thank you for another day. Whether you believe whatever you believe in, even if it's the power of energy, just thank you for another day. Don't go to a mirror while you're brushing your teeth and say, oh, wow, another pimple. Wow, another wrinkle line. Say, hey, it's going to be a great day and I look great. Start your mind off with a positive and you will see that the day will move in a positive. Continuous learning. The very fact that you're out here right now, being at this conference, learning stuff, that's continuous learning, taking the initiative to always learn. I take it upon myself every 2 years or at least 3 years to upgrade myself. This year, in January of this year, I became a clinical hypnotherapist. This was never on my agenda, but you know what? I wanted to take up the challenge and I did, and I love what I do. So I have a passion for things that I learn. Learn to like things you dislike. There are certain things in life that we have to do because it's part and parcel of life that we need to get done. So learn how to like things, even though you dislike doing them, because there's always a way to make things, change the way you see it and make things happen. Positive self-esteem. Always look at the positive in you and always make sure you are proud of who you are. Understand that you are the best person to make the changes in your life and impact the lives of people around you. Just one stone pebble in the river can create massive ripples, and that can be you. You can be the influence that makes the change. And of course, start your day with a positive. Like I said before, always look for the positives by starting your day with the positives and then proceeding in life to look for the positive.